With Cloud PKI just released in February, I want to show you how you can secure your Outlook emails by just using the cloud. Yes, Cloud PKI is here, and I think it's fair to say it's got a few IT people excited. So what do I mean by this? Well, for starters, it's going to simplify the experience when it comes to deploying your certs, and it also means you don't need that complex NDES environment anymore. For others, it removes yet another barrier when it comes to moving to cloud native. You also get the full lifecycle management with Cloud PKI, so you've got your deployment, your renewals and your revocation all built in. And Cloud PKI will give you the breadth to manage your certs across different device types, so you're for Windows, iOS, macOS and also Android. Now for me, the fact that there are fewer links to break here means inherently that you've got a more secure environment. Given that there's a lot of information and content already out for this topic, I'm going to concentrate on showing you how to set it up using Microsoft Intune, and then we're going to look at using that certificate to secure Outlook emails. So let's get started here. So let's quickly look at the Microsoft website or documentation they've got here. There's a lot of information to get through, as you can see, and it's going to give you what it is. It's going to talk about the supported platforms and the features, and it's also going to give you the architecture. So have a look through that in your own time. But I want to get to the licensing quickly here. And basically, as you can see, you're going to be able to buy this through either the Intune Suite license or as a standalone, but you're going to need to basically evaluate this against your own business requirements, and it may be that you just want the standalone version, so that will be the winner for you. If you do evaluate this against other products though, it may seem expensive, which is why evaluating the full benefit of the suite comes into play here. In fact, Microsoft themselves recommend that you're going to get the best value from the Intune suite as a whole. Obviously, you need to be able to make best use of all the features that are in that suite, but take a look for yourself. The other side of the argument obviously is that really what you should be doing is taking into consideration the full cost of ownership here. Remember, by taking this option, by going and moving your cert deployment and management to the cloud, you're no longer needing to manage your device, your certs on premise. So you haven't got that complex NDES environment anymore. You haven't got the servers to set up and manage and keep up to date. So the full cost of ownership is really something that you should evaluate. Right, so let's get started. So over on my Intune Admin Center, I'm going to hit the tenant administration, and you'll see an option for Cloud PKI. Now, obviously you're going to need a license in order to do this, and log on as the global admin or as a user that you've set up through RBAC and a role that you've defined. By the way, there's the link that we just saw on the website. If you click that will get you to the details that you need. So what we need to do here is we need to set up, and these are CAs that I've already set up. I've got a root certificate authority, and I've also got an issuing. Now we need to set both of these up. I'm not going to use these. I'm going to start from scratch so you can see how it works. I'm going to quickly go through all of this. So first off, we give it a name. I'll give that M2M root CA2 just because I've done this already before. Hit the next, and this is where we get into the detail. Okay, so first off, I want to set up a root CA. This is the first step that we need to go through because the root CA is the authority, and the issuing CA is basically where you're going to make reference or you're going to be connected to your root CA. So I'm going to give it a validity period of 5 years. Obviously choose what's relevant for you, and I'm going to set up the extended key usages. So if I click this, you get to see already these are the uses that you can use your CA for. Obviously there's a full list here, MAC address, code signing, IPsec tunnel, etc. Now typically you might want to use it for server auth, client auth, or email protection, and because I want to use it for this particular video, I'm going to choose email protection here. Then you come down to some optional fields, but you do need to put the common name in. So again, I'm going to put the M2M root CA CA2 there. Oops. And we need to set the encryption algorithm here. So as standard, I'm just going to go for SHA-256, and we hit the next. At this point we do have the scope tags, but I'm not going to set those here, and then we can go and just set this up and create it. Okay, so we do get confirmation that's happening. So now that we've created our root certificate authority here, which is the CA2, we need to go and create an issuing certificate authority. So we'll go and do that, and we'll call it M2M issuing CA2. So we'll hit that, and at this point we need to link this issuing CA to our root. So first off, we choose that we need it to be an issuing CA, not a root. We're going to select Intune as our source. Remember, we want to use this software or as a service here, so we want to use Intune, although you do have this bring your own root CA as an option. And then it's going to give me a list of my root CAs. Now I have two, but the one we just created was this CA2, so I'll select that. At this point you want to create a validity period. You don't really want to go or you can't go above the root, so for now I'm just going to hit 2 years. And again, I have this type. Okay, now the option here is email protection. The rest are grayed out because our root is only working as an email protection issuer of the certificate. So we're going to do email protection here, and I have to put in the common name, which I'm going to call M2M issuing CA2 just to distinguish that. And then at this point you can see it's already got the algorithm and key size down here because it's taken that from the root that we've linked it to. So I'll hit the next. I don't want scope tags. Hit the next again, check my details and hit the create. Now just remember, when you do create this, you can't go back and edit them, so make sure that you get the settings right before you go and hit the create button. So for our next step, what we need to do is download the CA certificates. This is because they need to be uploaded to the client devices, trusted root and intermediate certificate stores. So we can go ahead and do that. If I click on the M2M root CA here, I should get the details and the properties, and I can hit the download. So I'll get that, and I'm going to go back to the options and look at this issuing CA2. In here I select the properties, and again I can hit the download. So we've now got copies of those certificates. So now at this point what we need to do is go and create some configuration profiles to deploy these certificates. So we're going to head into devices and then go into configuration, and we're going to hit create new policy, select platform as Windows 10 and later, templates, and then we're going to go for the trusted certificate option here. We need to create one for the issuing and one for the root. So we hit create, and I'm going to create this as the deploy issuing CA2. So we're going to go with that. Now for the issuing CA2 policy or profile here, what we need to do is select the destination store. Now because we want to do email encryption, what we need to do is make sure that that certificate is delivered to the user certificate store or intermediate here. We're not for the root or the intermediate or the computer, it's the user certificate store. So we select that, and then we select our issuing CA2 cert here. Okay, so we select that and we open that, and then we hit the next. Now we need to select our group here. I've already got a group which I'm going to add here. So this is the PKI devices, so I'll select that and then we'll hit the next. I don't want any rules here, so I'll go ahead and create it. Okay, so at this point we want to do another one, exactly the same again, but this time it's for the root certificate. So we go into Windows 10 and later, templates, trusted certificate, give it a name, hit the next, and this time we need the root certificate. So I'll select that. That was the first one we downloaded, and I need to select the computer certificate store root, which is this top one here. Okay, so we hit the next, And again, I will select the same group. Cloud PKI devices. Hit that. Next, no rules, and then hit the create. Okay, we're on the home stretch here. What we now need to do is set up a new configuration policy, which is basically the going to deploy the certificates down to our end users. And we do that through a device configuration using the SCEP certificate template. So we're going to set that up, hit the new or create, go with Windows 10 and later templates. Going to select this SCEP certificate there, hit create, give it a name, M2M SCEP certificate, hit the next. Now this is where we get into the meat of things. We want a user certificate. Remember, in this scenario, we want to secure our emails, and I want to send a user certificate. We leave the subject name format as is, and we don't need to add any alternative names in here. From a validity point of view, we keep that as 1. Then we select the key storage provider. That's going to be enrolled to TPM if present, otherwise software KSP. In a usage, key usage, we're going to go for both these options here, and we're going to select 2048 and hash algorithm to match our certificates SHA-2. At this point, we hit the root certificate, select the deploy root CA2. We need it to be linked to the root and not the issuing, so we hit the OK. From an extended key usage, remember we want to set this for secure email. Okay, so we can keep the renewal threshold at 20, but we got to get this SCEP server URL. Now where do we get this from? If I bring up my other tab here, I'm in the actual Cloud PKI authorities here, and what I need to do is go into the issuing CA, and here you will find the SCEP URI. So I can copy that and go back to my setup here and paste that in. Okay, that should do it. Hit the next. We want to assign this to our users. I do have an allocated group, so let's go with that. This is going to be my Cloud PKI devices, and the reason for that is because I've selected the assignment of Cloud PKI devices for my trusted profile, and they need to match, so I'm going to select that, and then we're going to hit the next, and hit the create. And this is, at this point, everything that we've configured is going to send these down to the devices. Now we'll give this a few minutes to deploy. I'll sync the devices and then we can take a look. Now, with all the configurations set up, before we go over to the devices, I want to show you quickly how you can report against the certificates being deployed. So there are various ways of doing it. You can go back into your tenant administration, your Cloud PKI, and look at the authorities. Okay, so if I look at, for example, the CA2 issuing there will be an option to look at view all the certificates. Now at this stage they haven't all come down, so I can look at other ways. I can go into devices and look at monitor. If I look at monitor, there's an option for reporting against certificates there, and I can see that certificates, which ones have been deployed down to the devices. Alternatively, I can go into the configuration for the configuration profiles, and I can see individually what's happened there. So if I look at the deploy issuing CA2, for example, there's a report and it's going to tell me that I've got a success against the deployment of that issuing CA. So the other option though, and sometimes when you have to wait for the certificates to be downloaded onto the devices, deployed, and then for the telemetry data to come back into Intune, the best way to kind of report against them is if you have the advanced analytics option within your tenant. And again, this is a new option that's been added in with the Intune suite. You can basically go into the individual devices. If I pick one here, let's pick up on Megan's Windows 11. These are one of the devices I've deployed to, and you got this device query option, right? And in order to query against the device effectively in real time, you've got a number of options using KQL. So if the certificate, you can write a query here. So if I just put in a query, say, I'm going to evaluate the common name of certificates starting with M2M. Let me change that. I want to put contains instead, and I want that to be CA2 because I've already deployed some certificates previously and I want to make sure that it's got my latest deployment. So let me run a query against that, and it should query, like I say, in real time against the device. Let's see what it comes back with. And we have both the issuing and the root. So basically this is the best or the quickest way you're going to get your information back from your devices. So we've set all our profiles up. Let's go on to our Windows 11 device. I've got a virtual device here, and firstly want to go through and check my certificates. So if I go into manage user certificates, I should be able to check the certificates. So let's have a look at the root. So look at the certificates in here. There we got the M2M root CA2, and I can look at the details of that. Okay, just to compare against Intune and make sure it's the right information. If I look at personal, if you remember, we are securing emails, and I've sent the issuing certificate down to the personal store, and there we have it. Okay, there's the M2M issuing CA2. So how do we encrypt our emails? Well, first off, we need to open up the Outlook application, which I've got here. We go into File, Options, and then Trust Center. You open Trust Center and then select Email Security. Now in here, you can pick your options that you want to define for your encryption, your signing of your emails that you send. I'm going to select Encrypt Content and Attachments, add a digital signature, and I want to get a request of for a receipt of my email. So then go into settings, and you'll see that you've got an option here. Okay, you've got the SMIME settings, which is basically our certificate in the personal or user store. If you didn't have that certificate in that personal store, this would be blank, so you wouldn't have the option to add that in. And I can select the signing certificate here. If I select the choose, again, you're going to get verification about the actual certificate that you're assigning here, and that's the right one. Okay, so I'll hit the OK. If I look at the encryption certificate, I'm going to get the same information. Okay, so I'm going to OK that and OK that. Go out of this, and then we're going to set up a new email. Okay, we're ready to do a test here. I've got two virtual machines, both Windows 11, and I've got two users logged in. So on the right, I've got Megan, on the left, I've got Lee. So both the certificates have been downloaded and installed onto both their accounts and those devices. What I need to do now is just create a new email. So this time I'm going to go from Megan to Lee. It's just going to do a subject of test, but I'm going to go to options, and then you've got these two particular options of encrypt and sign. So first off, I'm going to do just an encrypt. So I'm going to send in this message as encrypted. So I'll say this is encrypted, and then I'll send it to Lee. So we should see this come through. And there we have it. We've got the emails come through, and it's saying that this cannot be displayed in the desktop alert for obvious reasons, because it's encrypted and we won't want to surface that information. So if I go into the email, I can see it because I've got access to the public keys of Megan, which means that the email has been decrypted. You can see here that it's got the SMIME lock. Basically, that's telling me that it's encrypted, and you can see it in the highlight of the email there, the summary of the email. If I click on that, I'm going to get the details, and I can look at the actual email and the trust, edit the trust, for example. Okay, so now what I want to do is, this time I want to send a new email back to Lee again, but this time I'm going to sign it. Okay, so do a test, and we're going to say this is signed. Go into options, take off the encryption, and make sure we've got signed. So I'm going to send that through to Lee, and it's come through. Okay, so we've got the email, but this time it's saying a request was made to send the S-MIME receipt. If you remember, in the Trust Center we switched this on. So by hitting the yes here, I'm going to get receipt, and that's a verification from the end user, and that's effectively what signing is doing. It's giving you that verification that it's reached your recipient without being tampered. And there's the difference between the encryption, which will scramble the email, and the signing, which will give you verifications during transmission. And there you see it, it's come up within Megan's email or Outlook account. So Cloud PKI is going to have a big impact, and hopefully you can see the benefits in this video where we looked at setting it up and applying it in a user case for encrypting our emails. Thanks again, and we'll see you again soon.